if you're considering about quitting weed, this video is for you. Now, I started smoking weed at a very young age, 13, 13 and a half, you know. It started to get bad around 14 and a half. And how I started getting into weed was from hanging around with people a lot older than me, people that's already lived a bit more years than me, you know, already a bit more experienced in things than I was. But of course, I thought I had a bit of an older mindset, or at least, like, you know, I just wanted to act a bit older. But of course, when you're young, you think you want to get old, you want to be old faster, and then when you're old, you're going to be younger. So it's just how it goes. But yeah, if you're trying to quit weed, or you want to quit weed, or you've quit weed, this is for you. And I'd say just it's got to be done. The weed nowadays is nowhere near to what it used to be 10, 20, 30 years ago. Now, bear in mind, I'm 20, but my dad is 66, and he started smoking when he was 27, and was smoking from 27 to 66. You know, now he don't smoke anymore, but that's a good reason, you know, like, he's quit now. But he's told me how the weed used to just make you giggle, you'd have a good time, you know, it would bring out the good in you. But nowadays, all it does is just mong you out, you know, bring the bad out in you, make you lazy, make you inconsistent, make you dopey. Of course, that's always been well known, but it don't do the same anymore. It's way too strong. Like, say if you're young and you're smoking weed now, it's gonna do your mental a lot more than what it used to 20, 30 years ago. And there's a lot of, it's got very popular now, because of course, like, everyone's posting it online, making it very popularized. When of course that happens with everything, but with weed, it's just one of those things so where nobody talks about the negatives. And even the ones that are starting to notice the negatives, they sort of ignore it, because they listen too much to the people that just make it popular and talk about the positives rather than the negatives. And then that's when you get into justification, you know. And when you know you should be smoking it, you justify it by saying, it helps me with stress, helps me with this, paranoia, helps me with that. Even though all these issues you're having stems from the weed. You know, from my own experience, I noticed that. You know, it took a while for me to notice that the whole side effects I'm having from the weed was because of the weed. I just thought it was like, you know, I was having a bad time or whatever, but it was from the weed. And, you know, I was smoking for like 4.5 years until I actually started to try different. You know, bear in mind, I stopped when I was 19. I'm 20 now. So I've had a decent enough time without it to know how I am without it compared to how I am with it. And I'd choose to be the person without it any day compared to the person with it. Just because of like how I am. I'm quite an ambitious person. You know, I've got quite a lot of goals. And when I do smoke weed, I'm not that person. I'd rather just stay in bed, scroll, pretty much be a dipshit, you know, do all the things that ain't gonna get you anywhere. And all of that ain't gonna get you any further. For me, and for many other people that I've spoken to, on my account, Mitch Mills 20, of course, I sort of promote trying to get off this shit. And all the people I've spoken to, 70%, they're all stuck in that comfortable zone of smoking, even when they don't want to be smoking anymore, but they're so comfortable with it because it makes you so comfortable in that situation. You just sort of get stuck. And it sort of just traps you, you know, because it's just one of those things where you can justify that it don't do anything to you physically, but it does a lot to you mentally. But it makes you very aware of what it does to you mentally. So it's literally, it traps you, you know. I was going to say something else, but I can't exactly remember what that is. But yeah, I'd say if you are trying to quit weed, you know, main things you've got to do is change your surroundings, cut off all the people you smoke weed with, even with his family. Just tell them, look, you know, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Like, tell them a reason, and if they're good family members or good friends, they'll understand. But what I had to do was cut off my day ones, you know, cut off my friends who I was friends with for like X amount of years, and because I knew that the surroundings that I was going to have in the future would be a lot better than the ones I had at that time. It just took a while to realise it. But, so change your surroundings, you know. Now I took it an extra step, and I've just moved country. Not just moved house at my parents' house, but also just moved country to Poland. Not everyone can do that, but definitely, say if you've got family in a different country, like if you're lucky like that, or you have money or whatever, I suggest going to a different location. Not even in your own country. So if you're in like UK, maybe America, but in UK there's no good areas to just move to start off a better life, you know. It's better to just do it in a different country, like I have in Poland, Warsaw. But I'd suggest changing your surroundings. Look, like if you're in a situation to where you struggle with accountability, you know, or you need someone to talk to, like you don't have much people to talk to, go to a mentor. Of course, I'm an option. Of course, I'm going to mention that I'm an option. There is others, but I would say, like, I try my best to give the best service, you know. I try my best to be the best. That's what you got to do. But either way, just go to something, like even AA meetings. They're very good. Most people don't go there really for weed, but of course you can. Just change your surroundings. Look for some sort of support system, someone that's going to hold you accountable. Understand that it's all in the mind. You know, it's all mindset. All it is mindset. And of course, keep tracking your fitness. And I'd say if you haven't got, say, a hobby or a passion, find one. Mine was building this personal brand. You know, I saw the possible return in it, so I just made that my new thing. It's personal branding, and obviously now it's starting to do well. I'm able to just move around. As long as I make enough money, I'm able to go to whatever country I want to go to, be with whoever I want to be with my, like networking, and really like be sort of free. And that is because I quit weed. You know, I saw myself as being able to do more, and then once I quit, I just chased the dream. You know, and this is the start of my journey as like entrepreneur and personal brand, but it's definitely not the end. You know, but if you are struggling with quitting weed, give me a message on Mitch Mills 20. If you want to book a free like strategy call, free mentoring call, then book it in the link on this video, and we can have a chat, talk about your situation, how, you know, exactly where you see yourself going, how I could help you, and then of course I'll run you through the pricing, my offer, and you know how I would pretty much change your life completely. Now, if that interests you, of course, go to either two. But either way, I've given you enough information on this video to where if you implement it, you will succeed in some way. But take it as you may. 90% of the people that will watch this video probably won't take action. So if you're part of that 10%, you're one of the ones that are going to do well, you know. But either way, appreciate the video.